Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, as we continue to see glimmers of hope in our case rate, Kern County remains in the purple, most restrictive tier for coronavirus lockdowns. Today, we expect an update from Public Health on where we stand and just when those restrictions could be loosened. State lawmakers hold off on voting on a school reopening plan that would set a deadline for schools to bring kids back in person or face losing funds. The governor says it would actually slow down reopening process. We'll tell you what comes next. Plus, a structure fire breaks out overnight off Highway 58, keeping county fire crews on scene for several hours. We'll have the latest on that firefight. This is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Good morning, 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen, anchoring from here at home this morning. Alex Fisher's holding down the fort in the studio. What a gorgeous day it was again yesterday. I drove down to Bakersfield, filled for a little bit, Alex, and the hills are green on the way down, which is my favorite part of year, to be able to see that. And yeah, just beautiful sunny skies again.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the most beautiful time of year for all of us, because that's when everything starts to transition from winter into spring. There's new growth, there's new life. It's great to see. And boy, those temps, can't complain about those temperatures because they are absolutely gorgeous. Let's turn things over to Kevin Charette. He's got a look at our forecast on this Tuesday. Hi, Kev.
Good morning. Yeah, the one thing that I did see that Maddie experienced yesterday were those winds up in the Tehachapi area that we talked about yesterday morning, where they could be gusting near 50 miles per hour. And she definitely experienced some of those winds as she was making her run in the afternoon. And it was overall beautiful, lots of sunshine. Here in the valley, we were in the 70s under clear skies. A little bit of a change for today. We're starting out, as you can see here on satellite, under clear conditions, but we will see some clouds push in later on this afternoon. We've got a temperature right now in Bakersfield of 48, an east-southeast wind at 5 miles per hour. And you can see starting out sunny, and then we'll see some clouds throughout the afternoon, but still nice and comfortable. We should be right near 72. And then for the mountains, we've got clear skies this morning. Traffic a little bit slow along the 58 heading out towards the Mojave area, so keep that in mind. You got a temperature of 27 degrees right now under a calm wind. As we take a look at the morning, we'll see temperatures rise this afternoon into those 60s. So overall, not a bad day around Kern County. Again, a little bit of cloud cover approaching later on this afternoon. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Kev. Foreign policy takes center stage in Washington today as President Biden holds his first one-on-one meeting with a foreign leader. It's virtual. He's speaking with Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Tracy Potts has a preview of what they'll talk about, plus what to expect from today's hearing on last month's Capitol riot.
Hi, Maddie. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. The Rules Committee and the Homeland Security Committee are holding this hearing jointly today, while over at the White House, Vice President Harris joins the president with Canada's leader. Trade, climate change, and the COVID pandemic are expected to dominate today's conversation between President Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
We're ready to work shoulder to shoulder to defeat COVID-19 and rebuild economies that work for everyone.
Rebuilding America means helping small businesses survive. The government says 400,000 have closed their doors. President Biden announced a 2-week window for businesses with fewer than 20 workers to apply for loans.
A lot of these mom and pop businesses got muscled out of the way by bigger companies who jumped in front of the line.
He's pushing Congress to approve his relief plan, which includes billions more for small business loans. Today, Congress turns its attention to last month's riot at the Capitol. A congressional panel will hear from Washington's police chief and 3 who resigned after the attack. The former sergeant at arms for the House and Senate speaking publicly for the first time, and former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund. Lawmakers want to know why they weren't prepared and why it took so long to secure the building.
I think this was the most heinous attack on the democratic processes that I've ever seen, and one that I never expected to see in my lifetime.
Merrick Garland, President Biden's Attorney General nominee, says the siege will be his top priority if confirmed. Federal investigators are looking into whether Trump allies helped organize the Capitol attack. but a source tells NBC News charges are not likely. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
And back here at home, new this morning, a large structure fire broke out just before midnight last night off Highway 58. Take a look at the scene. It happened near the intersection of Malaga Road and Red Bank Road at what appeared to be an abandoned building. County firefighters worked for hours to knock the flames down. Eventually, the crews brought in a bulldozer to tear down the remainder of the building. It's still not clear what caused the fire, but arson investigators were on scene. It's not known whether there were any injuries in that blaze. 17 court watch now, 2 years in prison. That's a sentence handed down yesterday to a man who struck and killed a bicyclist in a hit-and-run crash, according to court records. 61-year-old David Allen Robertson pleaded no contest last month to a charge of hit-and-run causing death or permanent serious injury. He was charged in connection with the crash that happened on July 7th on Oak Street. Following the crash, detectives say released surveillance images of the suspect vehicle, an SUV, later found in a ravine with evidence that a rock had been placed on the accelerator to send it off a cliff, according to a court document.
The Kern County Probation Department says it has seized weapons and drugs during recent searches. Officers searched a home on Pioneer Drive and found 5 guns, including 2 referred to as assault weapons, along with cocaine and a large amount of marijuana. 26-year-old Marcos Gonzalez was arrested. A home on Dolores Street resulted in the arrest of 40-year-old Angel Casillas after officers found 48 grams of heroin. Casillas is on post-release community supervision, and officers said a search of a home on Brundage Lane turned up a .40 caliber handgun and ammunition. 23-year-old Benjamin Wycuff was arrested on gun-related charges and 3 felony warrants. A Delano pastor plans to hold a vigil for victims of violent crimes. Pastor David Vivas Jr. was compelled to organize the vigil following the recent shooting death of 45-year-old Cristina Armendariz. The local mother was killed 2 weeks after she buried her own father. The pastor says his heart goes out to all crime victims and their families, and he encourages people to seek justice for those who can no longer speak for themselves. The vigil is planned for Saturday, March 13th at 11 a.m. in front of the Delano Police Department.
The city of Bakersfield is asking for public feedback on its plan to revitalize a slew of local neighborhoods. The transformative Climate Communities plan focuses on bringing jobs, affordable housing, and transportation to downtown and Old Town Kern, as well as the Oleander, Sunset, and Lakeview communities. The city says anyone who wants to comment on or criticize the plan must submit feedback by this Sunday. For details on the plan and to submit feedback, just head to bakersfieldtccplan.org. Your time now is 5:07. And the city of Bakersfield College is kicking off Women's History Month with a discussion and panel next week. The panel will include local women who will share their influences, challenges, and successes, along with words of advice for young women. It's happening on BC's YouTube channel on Thursday, March 4th at 6 p.m.
Every year, businesses, nonprofits, and people are recognized for their tributes to our local community at the beautiful Bakersfield Awards. And last year was a different year for everyone, especially because of the coronavirus pandemic. But a lot of good came out of it, including acts of kindness and compassion. Organizers are asking the community for their nominations to help honor those who are helping to make our community a better place. Nominations must be for things completed in 2020 in order to be eligible. Nominations are due by Monday, March 1st, and must be submitted online at the Bakersfield Chamber's website. Winners will be announced in November. Making headlines around the state this morning, and a group of parents received a terrifying call yesterday as a car crashed into a daycare in Santa Clarita. KTLA's John Finoglio has more.
So she's okay. Get a little scratch. That's about it right there. Can we get your name?
It was a close call for 2-year-old Shayna Adler and 2 other children who were rushed to the hospital after an SUV slammed into their daycare center. All 3 children transported by air ambulance after a white Honda Pilot crashed through the front of La Petite Academy on the 28,000 block of Seco Canyon Road in Santa Clarita around 4:40 Tuesday afternoon. The impact shattering concrete and glass, knocking over bookcases in the room where toddlers were playing.
She was on the other side of the wall. She was the kid that it landed on. She's probably just sitting with one of her friends. I'm guessing one of the other 2 kids. I don't know. And when it went through, it landed on her. They found her underneath the bookshelf, they said.
LA County Fire and the Sheriff's Department say all 3 children were under the age of 4 and sustained only minor injuries. Shayna's mother is a doctor who works nearby and raced to the scene.
The other children are just fine. So she went first, and the other 2 went in the other helicopter. They were just fine. They're both doing fine. I said goodbye to the moms.
Authorities say the children were airlifted as a precautionary measure due to the seriousness of the crash. The driver of the SUV has not been identified. Allison Adler says daycare staff told her it was someone's grandmother who'd come to pick up their kids.
According to staff, it was someone's grandma.
As for little Shayna, her father says she appears pretty unfazed.
They got to ride in a helicopter, right, sweetie? She was singing the whole time.
Welcome back here at 519, making headlines around the nation today. A court hearing scheduled for a former Michigan governor related to charges in the Flint water crisis. Former governor of Michigan, Rick Snyder, and the former director of the Flint Department of Public Works, Howard Croft, will have preliminary hearings today in their misdemeanor cases. Snyder is charged with 2 counts of willful neglect of duty, which is a misdemeanor. Emergency managers appointed by Snyder used the Flint River for the city's drinking water without treating it to reduce corrosion. Snyder contends that the charges against him should be dismissed because his alleged crimes occurred in the state capital, Lansing, and not in Flint. The U.S. Supreme Court will not block a New York grand jury from getting President Trump's tax returns. The ruling marks the last legal battle for the former president to keep his personal and corporate returns out of the hands of investigators. In an official statement using familiar phrases to describe the investigation, such as a witch hunt, Mr. Trump decried the decision, saying the Supreme Court let this fishing expedition happen. He went on in the statement to claim victory in the election and vowed to fight on, ending with, "We will win." Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance can now require Donald Trump's accountants to turn over the financial records.
The NTSB shared more details yesterday on the investigation of Saturday's engine failure on United Airlines Flight 328. The plane's engine caught fire, you may remember, forcing the plane to make an emergency landing shortly after taking off from Denver International Airport. Officials say preliminary investigations show there were no signs of structural damage to the plane, but there were signs of metal fatigue on one of 2 fractured fan blades. There was also an indication that fuel to the fire in the engine was turned off.
We, by our strictest definition, do not consider this to be an uncontained engine failure because the containment ring contained the parts as they were flying out. Now, from a practical point of view, from the flying public, it really doesn't matter.
The FAA said it plans to issue an emergency directive soon that will require more inspections of the fan blades for fatigue. We had one of the wildest finishes we've seen in a college basketball game in a while Sunday night with Indiana Tech taking on Lourdes University. Check this out. That was quite impressive. The Warriors down 2 with seconds left, and Grant Smith catches the full court pass, pivots, and then fires up with a 3 with 2 defenders in front of him. And of course, as you see, it's good. Smith and his teammates go nuts, and don't sleep on that pass. That ball hit Smith in stride and on point. An almost unbelievable play to win it for Indiana Tech, 81-80. That's pretty incredible.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back here at 525 in your Business Watch. Taco Bell entering the chicken sandwich wars. Taco Bell says it will test a chicken sandwich taco starting on March 11th. The taco test will take place in Nashville, Tennessee and Charlotte, North Carolina. Taco Bell is now the 4th fast food brand to announce a chicken sandwich in the last month. Restaurants are looking to chicken to fuel sales this year because the category is growing faster than beef.
Nothing says a party like balloons, big, beautiful, and colorful. And the days of helium balloons welcoming guests to an event are gone and have been replaced by elaborate displays. Dan Shinneman takes a look at this high-flying trend.
It's a trend that is popping up everywhere. Balloons. life-sized installations that include hundreds or even thousands of balloons.
Balloon installations are an amazing way to lean into a party theme. They're a great way to enhance a color palette and to create a great backdrop.
North Carolina's Amber Ford opened Balloon Blueprint 2 years ago after struggling with a kit she bought for her daughter's birthday.
And it was a headache to put together and figure out. And then in the end, it still didn't look anything like I wanted.
After some training, Ford launched her own business, joining the ranks of professional party planners who make elaborate displays for any occasion, including the birthday of a Facebook famous dog.
It is hard for people to realize the value that are in balloons.
Mosaics are becoming a big part of Ford's business.
I hand make every single shape, every single design. So I draw them out, I cut them out, I adhere them together, and then I fill them with all sizes of balloons.
Even with the proper tools and technique, Ford says it can take 8 to 10 hours to create one of her designs.
It's a lot of sweaty work, but it's fun.
Experts say it's not impossible for a die-hard do-it-yourselfer to tackle a simple arch or garland themselves.
Don't overthink the size of the balloons or your color scheme too much. What you want to do is have fun with it and go with the flow.
And the fun doesn't have to end after the event is over. Balloon installations can last for months if you don't pop them. Dan Shettleman, NBC News.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.